Hello and welcome to another video. My name's Axel
I'm Sean.
and we are back at the theatre, this time at the Lowry in Salford Quays to see Ghost Stories. I'm super excited about this one. Are you, Sean?
Yeah, it looks really good from the reviews. There's nothing online to suggest what actually happens in the play, but yeah, the reviews are amazing and it's a horror themed play. So what better for us than that?
It's right on brand. It all does seem like quite a mystery. Every single bit of promotional material is just people in the audience getting absolutely terrified. So I'm hoping to get terrified as well. Are you, Sean? I mean,
Absolutely.
I have always wanted to see a horror play. I mean, we did see The Exorcist a few years ago in 2019, but we've not seen many, and to be honest, there isn't very many. The show is written by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman, and one of them's from League of Gentlemen, the other one's the co-creator of all of the Derren Brown plays. And it was actually because Nyman was walking past The Woman in Black and realised that there hadn't been a horror play written since then. So it just goes to show that there isn't very many horror plays. So I'm excited to see the writing and I'm excited to see how it's done, especially with a co-creator of Derren Brown on there. That tells me there's going to be some illusions in there to really bring that ghostly aspect to life. And I am super excited for this. So come along with us for our reviews. There is no half time. It's a one-act play. I think it runs for about an hour and 20 minutes. So let's show you the theatre and we'll see you after the show. And we have just come out of Ghost Stories at the Lowry. This was a 2-year hit at the West End and apparently has been going for the past 15 years. So it's done its rounds, this play, yet even still today, I'd say it still holds up as one of the best. And we're going to get into why that is. We've not been to see an actual play in a while. We've been going to quite a few musicals recently, and this was really a breath of fresh air, combining horror with theatre in the most best way that it could be.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. First of all, I have to say the staging and the set design was absolutely phenomenal. The set moved. It was a dynamic piece of set and it was so interactive with the way that the actors were using it and the cast were using it, and it really helped tell the story and set the scene in a very eerie scene, can I point out. And I like the use of lighting as well. I like that on multiple occasions they used a torch and the torch was the only thing lighting up the stage, so it really immersed you in this whole world where there's a ghost story being told and you're living it with the person. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I found that so immersive, so clever. Such a simple trick, but such a clever use of light. Really, really well done. The staging, the way that they were stood on the stage in different points, the proxemics between the narrator and the person telling the ghost story when it was their turn to tell the ghost story was brilliantly done. Yeah, I absolutely loved so much about that production.
Yeah, and speaking on staging as well, the forced perspective of the set really was great, because there was a lot of it where it was like smaller at the back and wider towards the front. And with where the actors were stood, it really drawn you into the performance and added to that atmosphere, added to that tension. And this performance really does rely on that build of tension and that build of atmosphere to draw you in and for the scares to be effective. And so the set did, contribute towards what was a really well constructed and well written script. Like, the stories that they were telling themselves were brilliant. The way you had a narrator throughout the whole piece to tie it in together. And at the end, there's twists and turns that you don't see coming that just tie the whole thing up and make it really a one-of-a-kind piece, to be honest. Now, of course, we're telling our opinions, but we don't want to give too much away, because it would spoil the story for you, and they do ask you to keep the secrets of ghost stories. And we 100% will honour that, because we went into this performance not knowing anything. Yeah. There is a film adaptation of this performance that was made, I think, in 2017. We've not even seen that. No. We wanted to go in completely blind to everything, unaware of anything that could happen, unaware of the story. We don't even know if the story of the film is the same as the stage show. Yeah. But we wanted to go in it with no expectations whatsoever. But with that intrigue of how are they going to do horror effectively on stage. Because we do go to a lot of scare mazes. I've been an actor in a scare maze myself, and when you do go around scare mazes, you know, you can get scared because of that immediate sense of danger. It's right there in your face. So how are you going to get scared when you go to the theatre? It's, you know, you're separated from it almost. It's not even like it's in your house where you're watching the TV or you're at the cinemas, and they can do things with sound and they can do things with shots, you know, up close shots to scare or whatever. You're watching the whole thing there. So how can that draw you in and create that same effect for you? But I've got to say, it still did, if not more. Sean was screaming, I'll tell you that for sure, multiple times.
I screamed, I counted 5 times, I screamed out loud. Probably louder than anyone in the theatre, I think. Because everyone around me was looking at me and laughing. And I don't understand how people weren't as scared as I was.
No, people were screaming as well. Yeah.
But I was like, I literally was, I jumped out of my seat at one point. Like, I got that scared. And it was because of the way they built the tension within the theatre and within you. And it's like you almost know what's coming, but you're dreading what's coming. Like, it really plays with your mind. And you don't want it to happen, and you do want it to happen. And then it happens, and it's this release. And it's just absolutely brilliant. It just draws you in so well with the sounds, the staging, the lighting, the acting,
the special effects as well.
The special effects, but the acting as well really draws you in. Like the actors do a great job of building that tension, and considering this isn't a spoiler, this is just what happens in each scene. In each scene, it's one actor telling their version of their ghost story, telling you what happened to them in their ghost story, and it's like a reenactment. And it relies on them to build the tension, to draw you in, to use the space effectively, and all of them, each one of them did a fantastic job of that. And, you know, it was really a masterclass in stage presence and how to captivate an audience when realistically they weren't actually doing that much.
The piece did follow the same pattern throughout. Like, you'd have the narrator, then you'd be introduced to the character. They'd deliver a monologue about, you know, getting you into their story basically, and then they would reenact their story. It's like they was back there and you were seeing it happen. And a piece like that can become boring really easily. Like, it's almost if the odds are stacked against the actors. You know, people go into this place seeing the promo material, seeing the reactions to the audience and saying, you know, that's not going to scare me. It's a stage show, it's not going to scare me. The odds are already stacked against them then. You know, you'll have other people that go in, you know, with an open mind and willing and whatever, but the majority of people I don't feel would be that. And the way that it's set out with that pattern, where it is just heavily reliant on monologues and just watching this scene unfold, it can get boring, especially with someone that's not got a long attention span. And people nowadays don't have long attention spans, and it really does require you to sit and watch. You're given this monologue, you go into the scene, and it's basically saying, here's the scene, watch it play out. Yeah, it's one shot as if here's the camera just placed on it, and watch it play out. And yeah, you do have the set moving at points, but it's still just watching this one person experience their ghost story. And, you know, as I say, it can become boring really quickly, but it does the opposite effect. It builds and builds and builds. And sometimes there's more than one scare. Yeah. You know, it's not just building towards that one scare. There's more than one thing that scares you and gets you. And within that as well, it's really well written, as I mentioned before. But you can, when we came out of the theatre, we did say that some of the writing in there is very League of Gentlemen. It's that dark humour that carries it throughout as well. So you've got that dark humour in there, and the light-heartedness. But then you've also got moments of what's going to happen and moments of complete horror and scare as well. And on the other side of it, you've got the guy that co-written the Derren Brown stuff, and there is one trick in there where I did say I have seen that in a Derren Brown performance. Not going to give any spoilers, but even still, you don't see it coming. And even Sean was like, how the hell did they do that? How the hell did they do that? But it is just the icing on the cake. It really is. It really is.
I want to give a special shout out to the monologues as well when we're talking about how well written it was, because with a show like that, you really have to build that connection with your audience fast for that character, for them to really care about the ghost story and what's happening. I mean, obviously they will care about the ghost story, but for example, they throw in little intimate details about that character that instantly make them relatable or connectable to, and it gives you that little bit more incentive to pay attention, to be invested in what happens to them. And they only get like 3-4 minutes to build that connection, and they do it expertly, and that is because of the writing and the actors, and they both played their part absolutely excellent.
Now the performance is an hour and a half. I did say it was about around 80 minutes, but it is an hour and a half in total. There is no breaks in this whatsoever, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And it does say that at the beginning of the performance, it says, you know, you can't leave because you may not be re-entered. And I do want to say that for that piece, it's completely the right decision, with it relying so much on that attention, that tension, and the atmosphere, that build. You really need minimal distractions. You don't want someone walking past you to get to the toilet, whatever. So what I'd say is clear your bladders before you do go into this piece, because you don't want to ruin it for someone else, and you do not want to miss a moment of this performance, because it's going to ruin the whole vibe for you. You know, they do say turn your phones off, great as well. However, we did see a certain few people bringing the phone out, and it's really dark in there. And as Sean said, sometimes there's just one person on stage with a torch, you're focusing on that one light, someone gets the phone out, you immediately see it, it is distracting. Just don't do it. Just don't go on your phone in the theatre anyway. Like, why are you doing that? However, someone did collapse behind us.
I thought it was part of it. We thought it was part of it. There was something happening on stage, and we were like, what's going on? And then we just heard it behind us, and I was like, what's going on? Like, I thought, because they have like surround sound effects. So I thought that was part of it. And I've looked around and I've just heard, I'm all right. And we're like, what's going on?
And of course, that can't be helped. Try not to, but it can't be helped. But is that a testament to the show? And they're just that scared?
Push someone to their absolute
limits. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, out of 5, what would you give it?
I'd have to give it a 5. I absolutely loved it. I jumped out my skin. I really enjoyed the actors. I really enjoyed the writing. The staging was brilliant. I can't give it less than a 5 because I absolutely loved it. Yeah,
100% the same. 5 out of 5, and it's well worth the money. We had front row in the circle, and it only cost us £34.50 a ticket, and I think that is just well worth it, you know, for the writing, for the staging, for the thought behind it, the twists and turns, the characters and the actors, how well it's done, everything all together, and just how good it is to actually see horror on stage done right and done effectively. Like, it's hard to do. It really is hard to do, and it's done so well. It is on its UK tour at the moment, and that tour does go on until August this year. So check their website, see if it's coming to one near you, and I would highly recommend to go.
Very highly.
100%.
If you like horror, you like ghosts, or you like theatre, go.
It ticks all the boxes, even if you're interested in the paranormal. Because there is this whole aspect in it. Are you a believer and are you a skeptic kind of thing? And they do have a bit of audience participation at the beginning. to break the ice. And there's so much research that's gone into this
Yeah.
with paranormal as well, that the narrator kind of explains and brings out as it's presented almost like a seminar kind of thing in between the ghost stories, adding another element to it and really
direct
drawing
address,
you in.
just,
Yeah, exactly.
Talking straight to the audience. It's so difficult when you do that. It's so clever. This is the thing as well. It's so clever because to use direct address, it straight away makes you so aware that you're in a theatre.
Yeah.
Like, you're not immersed. And then this is why I say the monologues work so well, because 1 second you've got someone talking to you, right, at you, and like that, it's like you're in a lecture. It's like you're in. It's like that. It's that sort of
Presenting
vibe.
information.
Yeah, it's presenting information, and you're very aware of what's happening. And then he goes, "Listen to this," and then he'll play something, and then a storyteller will come out, and then the immersion happens so subtly, and then the set starts to change, and then
you're in.
The lights start to change, and then it just goes into the story, and you're there with it, and it's just beautifully done.
It really is.
As someone who has made theatre, has studied theatre, and teaches theatre, it's so difficult to do, and it's so expertly done, and it's not a lot of people could do that. Not a lot of people could pull that off as well as they did.
No. Now, we want more. We'd go again, and we want more. So, of course, we are going to watch the film after this. Don't know if it's going to be the same. I'll put a little bit of text at the end of this video to say if it is or isn't. But I still would highly recommend, don't watch the film. Go in.
Yeah, go
with
in
a blank
blind.
mind. Go in blind, as they say, and just experience it for what it is.
And if you have watched the film, forget it. Just get that Men in Black.
And with that said, that brings this video to an end.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video, and hit that bell notification so you never miss a thing.
My name's Axel.
I'm Sean.
And we'll see you on the other side.
Bye.